Hello my friends and welcome back to the Scott Ree Project. Now today I want to concentrate on what I think is one of the most underused, maybe abused part of the deer. It's the forequarter, the front end, the shoulders, as you can see there, the two shoulders each side, and the neck. Now this has been neck shot. Sometimes you will get this where it's been shot in the engine room, where the shot's gone in there, and pretty much this part of the meat has to be condemned. There's a lot of shot damage, a lot of blood meat, but if you can get a neck shot one, it leaves you with these beautiful shoulders. Now what I want to try and do, instead of like mincing it, grinding it down, is I want to try and produce a few different cuts which are more user friendly, you know. So I'm thinking maybe some roasts or some chops, some dice, obviously some neck rings, but we'll have a little play with this and we can see what we can get out of it. So first thing I want to do is take off the neck, those lovely neck rings, and we will be trimming this as we go along. Any blood meat, any horrible bits, we will trim out. So I'm just going to go through the neck, and as soon as the blade's gone through the bone, stop, get your knife in. You can see there's a bit of blood meat in there, but we will tidy that up as we go along, and we are left then with our two shoulders still attached to the main carcass. So what I'm thinking of doing is I will split these shoulders. Okay then, so here we have a typical situation that a lot of you hunting, shooting, stalking folk may be used to. It looked pretty much okay when it was together whole, and then you start cutting into it and then you get things like this. But this is where the skill of the butcher comes in, a little bit of knowledge. We can turn what looks like a bit of a car crash, to be frank, into something more manageable, which we will see at the end. So what I want to do really, I wanted to try something new. I wanted to sheet out the neck, if I can, and leave it on the bone. So I'm going to do the same with this side. And what I'm doing is catching that neck fillet and leaving it on the bone, because I wanted to have a go at making some mini, what would be rib roasts, but I don't know how much meat we've got left. So what I'm looking to do then is to try and keep these 4 ribs whole and go through this vertebrae here. Obviously you've got quite a bit of shot damage, quite a bit of blood meat, so I'm just going to loosen it off around the vertebrae and then get my knife in, give it a break, and hopefully that bone, we might be left with a bit of salvageable meat on there. But like I said, you know, this is the name of the game. It's not always perfect. I'm going to trim that off. We might be able to salvage it. As you can see, I'm looking for that lovely eye there. Then what I'm going to do is down the ribs to clean that off. And you can see pretty much there what I'm aiming for. I am going to, let me think, I want it about that size, so we'll mark it. As we can see, we've marked the inside, so I'm going to get the chopper. Excuse me a minute. And what we are left with then is a lovely little joint which we can tidy up, which we can French trim. Just take your time. Now normally this would most probably just be diced or go into hamburger or into mince. But I think once we've tidied this up, get here, took off the blood meat and squared it up a little bit. We'll give that a final tidy in a minute. And we'll French trim these properly, just by scraping down the bone. Okay then, with a little time, not too much time, and a little bit of French trimming, you end up with a lovely little 4 rib roasting joint. Now, yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but what we're trying to do is we are trying to elevate this shoulder, the front end, into something more than just easy processing. So what I will do is I will repeat with the other side. I mean, you can leave the bones a little bit longer if you wanted to make it look more impressive. So like I said, those 4 ribs, get your knife into that vertebrae there, give it a wiggle round that bone. You've got, like before, your 4 rib on the bone. So again, trimming up. Now it always looks messier than it is when you're doing, especially the front end with the blood, but it's not until you've done all your process and you put it all together and you realise, you know, that is a great job done. Through the bone, again, just get rid of that. Any of this meat left on those breasts, we shall get off, put in a pile, which we, as always, will sort out at the end. Remember, these bones won't go to waste. Fantastic stock. And of course, your 4-legged friend. So we'll put those over there. I shall work on that in a minute. Just want to go through this trim as we go along. So anything usable, anything you think is undesirable, always a good rule of thumb, don't put it in. Anything that you think is big enough to dice, then do so. Like we get some chunks out of that. Trim off that blood meat there. It's a nice piece. Trim off any sinew, any blood. We start building up our pile. I mean, this is just typical, you know, you really can't do anything with that. And what it does really is mess your block up. So it's always good practice to have a nice warm soapy cloth to hand. Give the blade a wipe. Again, blood damage. Get rid of it. There you're left with actually quite a decent chunk of meat for your casseroles, your stews. And as you can see, working our way through this, not only does it look better, the meat, but in your mind when you're butchering, I mean, it just looks like a mess when you start. But as you work through it, and you start to take out the stuff you don't need, it doesn't look too bad in the end. So, salvage as much as we can. Obviously your dogs will eat these bones that are a bit blooded. Just boil them up for them or give it them raw. We move on to the neck. I'm just going to trim that neck square. Now I love neck of lamb, neck of venison in a casserole. It really is something special. Now, a couple of ways you could do this. If you've got a chopper, you can chop through them. But what I like to do, because you don't get so many splinters, is saw through them. So make sure you've gone completely through the meat. There's a lot of meat on this neck. So just with your knife, go round and then just saw through each round. Now we're getting here, again, looking at it, blood. So separate it off and just take what you can. But already, Nice little pile of trim. Like I said, grind it, make it into sausages, and then a pile of dice, slowly building up what we get out of this shoulder. There we got our neck rings. Just going to work on that one in a bit, but there's one of our little 4 rib joints. Next we will go on to the actual shoulder. Okay, first we will take off the shin or the shanks, the natural bend there, and then in the crook, the V of the arm, just go through, and you should with a bit of brute force and ignorance snap it out. 2 things you can do with this then is leave it whole. Again, you know, treat it like a shank, or what I like to do personally is just bone it out. Obviously my friends over there, over in the US and Canada, your deer are a lot bigger. This would work even better. The bigger the species, the bigger you are going to get these full rib roasts. The bigger necks you're going to get, bigger shins or shanks. Let's put that into there. That into our trim pile. Again, bones into stock. Then we are left with this body, main body of the shoulder. Again, visually go through it, take what you can. Now what we have here then is the scapula, which is the shoulder blade, the blade bone. And we've got a lovely chunk of meat on here. So what I want to do, again, just tidy it up, is this shoulder blade is a V-shaped blade. It's a V-shaped, bone. We're just peeling it away off the top, as you can see there. Give this knife a sharpen, and then we'll go down the one side, down the other side, expose that ball joint that's there, as you can see, just opening up, and just get our blade just under each side. Just exposing the tip of that blade, and then we should again be able to strip by just pulling that blade bone out. We work on the arm. Again, you move the meat to you, don't get dancing around the meat. You stay in one place and move the meat to you. There's that one gone. And obviously we are left with what would be on a cow, a chuck. I mean, that would be nice rolled, but what I want to do, because there's a lovely muscle here, I'm going to go across and trim that out, and I'm going to roll that as a mini braising joint. Either roll it or put the food bands round with this. Again, trim, dice, whatever you think, over into the pile. That goes there. Take any funky bits off. I mean, if you want to with this, you don't have to. Just take that silver skin off. You will get a couple of medallions out of this. So if you want to, or just completely dice it, but that I think would make a great sandwich. And like I said, the shoulder, the blade, fold it up nicely, put a couple of strings around it. This is what I call my holding knot. You make your knot, you lock it off, and this time you take the knot to the meat, so you're not putting too much pressure on the meat, which obviously you always start in the middle. We'll splay it out and it will go everywhere. I will put a link in the comments for this knot. A very, very handy knot if you're processing anything. Again, up to the meat. Again, lock it off. Cut. And you're left with a lovely boneless shoulder roast, pot roast, braising. Just something a little different, you know? Trying to not just do the same old familiar mince, grind, hamburger, sausage, whatever. You're left with that little shoulder. We will repeat with the other. Get my piles mixed up here, Scott. Come on, boy. Dice, mince, neck rounds, 4 rib roast, some little medallions, and our boneless shoulder roast. So again, okay, my friends, there you have one whole venison shoulder butchered. And it's not until you've been through that process and you lump it all together that you realise how much you really got out of that shoulder. And we just have a little recap of what we started with. And then you see what we end up with, bearing in mind we had all that shot damage, all that blood meat, but with a little skill, a little bit of time and initiative, and believe me, you can do this. You can end up with a beautiful array of cuts like this instead of the old, let's just take it and mince it. But to my friends over in the US, the bigger the species, the better this will look. This was a roe deer, but you can imagine with the bigger species, the bigger rolled shoulder roasting joint or pot roast. These absolutely beautiful, I think are amazing, 4 rib roasting joints. And then these fantastic little medallions, pan fry them really quick. Then we got our pile of mince or ground meat, whatever you want to do with it. Spaghetti bologneses, meatballs, sausages, beautiful prime chunks of diced venison, casseroles, stews, and one of my favourite cuts, again, the neck, stews, casseroles, slow braising. Absolutely fantastic, and you can do this. So at the end of the day, it's all about getting a higher yield out of your carcass, and this was just the shoulders. I think we've done that in spades. Higher yield, more user-friendly cuts. Just think of the dishes you can prepare with these. So if you have enjoyed this episode of the Scott Ree Project, please like it, share it on all your hunting shooting forums. Of course, click subscribe. I release a video every week. It's game season in the UK. There's more to come. Also on my social media, Facebook, Scott Ree, or the Scott Ree Project, and on my Twitter at the Scott Ree Project. So until next time, if you get the chance to do this, do it. You will not regret it. I'll see you again. Many thanks.